Guys ready to rock and roll? All right. Hello, everybody. This is Craig Zuber with MAPS Executive Coaching. I also have my bride, Nicole Zuber, which is also an executive coach with me. And she's going to introduce the amazing clients that we're about to highlight and interview today. Take it from here, Nicole.
All right. Well, thanks, Craig. Hello, everyone. I'm Nicole Zuber, head coach or executive head coach with MAPS Coaching. And I have had over the last 2 years the absolute privilege of coaching Brian and Tracie from New York. So excited to share their story and give you guys perspective on possibility, on being in potentially what could be a low part of life, and what specifically they did intentionally for them to climb out to be where they are today.
Absolutely. Yep. So we're basically going from vision to reality, focusing on our net worth. Is that right? All right, Tracie, we'll start. Actually, Tracie or Brian, number one, thanks for being here. We're super excited to have you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks. It's an honor.
Awesome. So what does that mean? Going from vision to reality by focusing on your net worth. What does that mean to you?
Go ahead.
I'll go first. First of all, that means you have to have a vision. I think that's like a really super important part of it. And then figuring out, once you have that vision, what's your point A? Where are you at? So we can get to that reality. So you can't get to your point B if you don't know where you're at in point A. So what that means to me is figuring all of that out, and then figuring out a way to get there.
It was actually me accepting the reality of where I was. You know, and I sometimes I was go through with blinders and didn't accept the position or didn't want to look at the position I was in at that point. You know, so I think you have to analyze that and realize accept where you are and say, this is where I am and where am I going to go.
And how it was ugly. It was ugly. It was an ugly now. So we had wanted to go places. We were pretty general about it, and I think it was because we just didn't really want to look at the black and white numbers of our situation. And it really all came down to numbers.
Got it. Okay. So thanks for sharing that. So let's do this. So tell us where you're at today, as far as as much as you want to share, like here's where we're at now. And then after you've shared that, we're going to take you all the way back to what it was. And we're going to walk you all the way through that process. Sound good?
Sounds good.
How about it?
You want me to have at it?
So, you're the numbers person.
Yeah. So right now we have a positive net worth, which we're very, very proud of. We are homeowners. We bought a multi-family,
funeral
home.
It's a good story.
It's a good story. Yes. And we are in the process of demoing it, renovating it. We're about to move in. So we're in a really, really good financial spot. We know where we're headed. We're on an upward trajectory.
Absolutely.
Anything you want to add, Brian?
No, we've grown our net worth. I mean, we're not where we want to be. I think that's at the same time, you know, we are growing and focusing on that, and we've increased it quite a bit since we got into MAPS coaching.
Yeah, we've increased it by 558%.
Yeah, so
558% since you got into MAPS coaching and having the right partner helping you do this.
Okay, I'll clarify. Since we started working with Nicole, and that was our very first net worth we did, which was painful, was no, we did it October 2019. So from October till today, we've increased it by 558%.
Yeah.
October of 2019 through the end of September of 2021, you have grown your net worth by 558%?
Yes.
That is phenomenal. Congratulations.
Thanks.
I didn't have any gray hair back then either.
Me neither. Okay, so that's where you're at today. Sounds like you're pretty excited. Your energy is great. You guys look like a great couple. Anything else you want to share about that?
So, you go.
Oh, it's lovely working with your wife. No, it's you know, that's one of the challenges and the benefit. I think when Monica paired Tracie with Nicole, that was one of the things, you know, because you guys work together and we are married. So that's another dynamic that is challenging in this world. But it's good.
You know what? It's awesome to be going towards the same vision, and that's really important. So, and to share that same industry, have that industry knowledge, be excited about what we're doing. Yes, I think that trumps all of the challenges. They're all opportunities. So for me, sometimes I know people are like, oh, but don't you talk about work all the time? And sometimes we do, and sometimes we shouldn't. But then there's other times we're so excited about it and we're so grateful for it because we have this opportunity to choose our lives and to choose what we do. And I think that's the most phenomenal part about it. So I do think we're the right people to work with each other most of the time. It does take some finessing, as you guys both know, but honestly, I'm really grateful for it.
Yeah, she didn't want to come to Keller in the beginning. I had to beg and plead, but I'm grateful.
I was teaching math. I was a math teacher. And prior to that, I was in the mortgage industry for 10 years. And he begged me to come and help lead his team. And so I did it.
And you recognize talent.
Okay, so thank you for everything that you've shared this far. Now are you ready to go back?
Yes.
Sure, that's the fun part.
Sure.
All right, so tell us how far we should go back.
How far do you want to go back? So, I mean, we can back up the bus to, so we're both divorced. You know, we were in a position where, you know, we're the American family. I have three boys and Tracie has a boy, 21, 16, and 14 right now. Not twins, just blended. And we were both in positions where we were renting, and then we started renting together. You know, we moved in and got married, and we've been renting for a while. You know, like a lot of brokers, I got hung up in the didn't pay my IRS debt, so I had some debt for that. So we were behind the eight ball with, you know, a couple of years of IRS debt. And when I finally came clean with everything, you know, we kind of.
When was this? What year was this?
That was probably.
It wasn't that long ago. Only three. So we have been together for 10 years. So we did not, because we didn't commingle our finances. We didn't talk about it. I have to be real here. We didn't talk about it. He was in his lane. I was in my lane. And then about 3 years ago, he came to me and said.
When did you come on board?
4 years ago.
4 years ago. So it was just after we started working together.
Yeah. And he said, hey, you know what? I have some tax issues. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, well, that's fine. Let's just figure it out. Yeah. You know, he was afraid to tell me.
Yeah,
I think.
Totally.
Yeah.
I was more embarrassed than anything else. That's, you know, and that's really where I was at that point. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of cool to be able to say it right now.
Okay. So 4 years ago, you were embarrassed. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. Of that, 100%.
Okay, so you're embarrassed, and you had. So how far in debt were you with taxes?
About
116.
Yeah, something.
116,000.
So 4 years ago, you're $116,000 behind in your taxes. Mm-hmm. Anything else that you want to add to that equation?
Well, we were, you know, when we started, we were using credit card debt. We both had. We have
about $60,000.
$60,000. I mean, we were behind the eight ball, guys.
It was pretty bad.
You know, I mean, we had. I don't remember how much. Probably 60 grand revolving debt, student loans, everything else.
Everything. It was a fight. It was a financial nightmare. So when I say we really didn't know our point A, we didn't know how bad that was. We can tell you how much it was right now because of tracking our net worth. And that conversation with Nicole of, hey, why don't you put everything down? Write everything down on paper. I'm like, because honestly, I felt a bit hopeless and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to get out of it. I knew it was there. I knew it was possible to get out of it, but I was kind of ignoring it and just focusing on the business, which was like the stupidest thing.
And I was totally ignoring it. And that's why I said before, accepting that fact was step one.
Yes.
Really, in owning up to it, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so for clarification purposes, then we're going to go up to 2019 then. So let's talk. So you come into relationship with Nicole Zuber, your executive coach, in 2019, and the first thing that she says is, "Why don't you put everything down and walk us through from that point, like that process."
Yeah. So, I hadn't really, when it came to the business, I was already budgeting. I was looking at all the numbers there, analyzing, do what I was supposed to be doing, but completely ignoring our personal finances. And she said, okay, well, I'm going to show you something. And she shared with me a net worth calculator. And she's like, why don't you put everything down on paper? I'm like, Nicole, it's really ugly. And I was scared. I was scared. And she's like, it's going to be okay. Like, this is just the first step. And she shared some of her stories with me that helped. And so I did it. So we did it. But this is the thing. I went on, I filled out everything. It was extremely detailed, like, all the different credit cards, all your car loans, all of the, tiny little things that you might forget about. But I kind of lumped them all together. And so I did it once. And then she's like, okay, now you need to go back, separate out those credit cards, put the different interest rates. Like, make it very, very specific, whatever kind of debt or asset it was, and really see that whole entire picture. And then once we did that, then we could formulate a plan to actually pay that down. And that was huge. And just for the two of us, because as I said, we didn't commingle finances. So this was really the first time we commingled, like, for real. We saw each other's stuff.
Yeah.
So it was like, whoa, but it was so relieving to actually see it on paper. It was so relieving.
Okay, so it's relieving. Now this is interesting. So 2019, at that point, you guys have been together for how long as a couple?
2019, 8 years.
Blissful years.
Seven.
You've been together for 7 or 8 years.
Yes.
Yeah, 11.
Either one of you had ever really talked about finances or money, or is that accurate?
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, we pay the bills. And I mean, it's not like we were delinquent on anything. We just, but we pay the bills. You pay yours, I pay mine, and that's the reality of it.
Yep.
Yeah, and what's interesting about that, guys, that statistically, that money is one of the most difficult and challenging things to discuss. And that's why people avoid it, right? It's hard, so people avoid it. So congratulations.
Honestly, I think our relationship got better and stronger once we identified it and started, working through it.
Yes.
So before this strength, we just spent a little bit of time of literally telling us how it actually felt, like every ounce of what it felt like before you had really laid it on the table.
Chaos. Chaos everywhere. There was chaos in our household, chaos with our kids, chaos with our exes, chaos with our families, our ex-families. I mean, chaos within the business. Obviously, it showed up there, and it didn't show up financially sound there either. Like, it really affected the decisions we were making on how we paid ourselves and what we did with that our earnings from the business. So it was chaos everywhere, and it felt so unclear. I felt like I was in a hole, digging my way out.
Yeah, looking back, we didn't have control.
No control. That's a good point.
Looking back from now, and I mean, now we have control of what we do and where we go. And, part of that, I don't know when we started Profit First either.
It was with Nicole.
Yeah, that was, somewhere in that year. I mean, that book really helped us a lot too, just doing that process.
Yeah, actually paying ourselves.
Yeah.
Go figure.
So it's chaotic,
embarrassing.
You're out of control.
Mm-hmm.
It's embarrassing.
We're renting and
selling real estate and renting.
Yes.
So you're in a career of selling real estate and you're currently not owning a house.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
What does that feel like?
Well, we own a funeral parlor now. It feels great, but it was when people asked, oh, you own that, or that. I mean, it was like, yeah, that didn't feel too good, at least to me.
Yeah.
Because we're supposedly the experts in real estate, and we're not even following our advice.
And not even for our clients, but our team. Like, for me, I think that was the biggest thing, because we have these wonderful relationships with people on our team, and it was important to me to be able to mentor them as well. And the fact that, you know, we were kind of letting ourselves be in this situation, it was almost devastating to me.
Yeah.
About clear? Were you guys clear about anything?
No,
Nothing.
not at all. There was no vision until we
There
started.
wasn't a vision.
There was no vision. No, there really wasn't.
Nope.
It was just, we were just going. You know, we were on the bike, the hamster wheel.
Yeah. No vision for our nothing, like literally even within the business, the way that things were structured did not make sense.
Correct.
At all.
Correct.
Like without a doubt. So there was no hope of, I don't think I dreamt. Like, I know Nicole was like, you have to dream again. And that was huge.
Possibilities.
Yeah. Like, we didn't have to be in this situation anymore.
Where do we want to go? You know, that was such an aha and empowering once we said, well, where's our vision? Where do we want to go? What do we want to do? And took those handcuffs off, you know, and even though we were still, you know, in that debt, or our net worth was low and negative and all that, it's still, all right, well, this is the plan to get out of it.
Yes.
At that point, because we didn't know what we were just going on the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's incredible for hopefully under the people, like you're going to be connecting with a lot of people here that may be feeling like, wow, this is where I'm at. But the crazy thing about this is as I'm listening to this was 2 years ago, not 2 decades ago.
Yeah.
Right? Like the energy that you have today versus whatever that felt left. I mean, just 2 years ago, just by partnering with the right person that comes in here and gives you possibilities and says, just take a breath.
Yeah. Yeah. It's astounding. It's astounding to me because honestly, I don't think anybody there. Nicole is the only, honestly, for us, she's the perfect fit. And there was nobody who could have helped us more profoundly than she did. And we're very, very grateful.
So that's awesome. So she comes in, she says, like, set everything down. Let's just talk about a few things here and see where you're at.
Yep.
And then I heard you start talking about all the excitement, but really was it really that fast for everybody to hear this on the call? Like, was it, she has a conversation, then you just decide to go into action and start pouring finances? Really, was it like day one, or was it multiple?
I mean, identifying the debt and doing that was probably a couple of weeks.
Yes.
A couple of, you know, really, I mean, you do everything you're supposed to do. I mean, she's, you know, you do the numbers, I get the numbers, and that's what you're told to do the numbers. That's what happens. So that really happened within a couple of weeks.
It happened within a couple of weeks. I will say I am somebody, I trusted Nicole, and very much so. And it was she developed rapport with me very, very quickly. And so if I am somebody, if I believe in it, I'm all in. And she just gave me a glimmer of hope and I ran with it. So I went like 100 miles an hour. I'm like, there's a way we can get out of this.
Yeah.
Like literally. So yeah. So I was inspired to do that. And that was the reason why that it did start happening very quickly. So a couple of things happened. She said, let's do the net worth. And we went back, we made everything more specific. Okay, now let's develop a plan. What are we going to do next? Hey, Tracie, read Profit First. What are you doing? What are you doing with the money that you're earning? Hey, go read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Hey, read Cash Flow Quadrants. So it's important to know that she empowered me. It wasn't like she was just sitting here saying, okay, this is what you do. She coached me and said, okay, now what were your takeaways from that? What is tax-free wealth? Oh my gosh. Like the list goes on and on.
Time out. This is awesome. Now I'm like, holy smokes, I'm overwhelmed here. Time out, let's simplify this. All right. So step one was what?
Step one was actually tracking our net worth, like putting it on, identifying it, and committing to going over that.
Weekly, we did it.
Honestly, it wasn't just with the net worth. We had to also track our budget, like our personal budget. We've never done that before, which was uncomfortable. Weekly, we had to commit to sit down weekly. Literally put everything we spent, what are we doing here?
She's got a product addiction and I like to hunt. So
so we have some issues, right? So it was a combo of net worth and budget.
Yeah.
On a weekly basis, looking at it and then saying, ooh, we got paid. What are we going to pay down now? Like that became, we looked forward to that. Ooh, we can't wait to meet this week because we get to pay down stuff, you know, and watching it come off our net worth and our net worth sheet and seeing our net worth grow that's what made us keep going.
It really got to the point where, so once we identified it and we started paying, you know, the next step was to start paying down, you know, whether it be small credit cards just to eliminate them or high interest things to eliminate them. It was like a game. So you know, we met on Sundays, we'll still meet on Sundays to pay stuff down or pay this or pay that. It'd be like, you know, we got rid of this, we got rid of that. And it became fun.
Yeah.
It still is fun.
And I think one of the things too that I know I mentioned at the beginning, but it kind of got lost was what did we want to do with our money, right? Like what was our vision? Where did we want to go? So on that, we wanted to buy a home. We wanted to buy a multifamily home. So that has been on my GPS for the past 2 years. So what we did also, what we wanted to do was not only pay down our debt, but start a house savings account. And we literally named it House Savings Account. So we were very intentional about that. So it was like, ooh, we get to put this in our house savings account and then we get to pay down this credit card. So,
and at the same time, you know, we had 3 accounts. We had savings, tax, and house.
Yes.
So, and we were still paying off. And so, I mean,
and we did the 10, 10, and 10. So 10% to taxes, 10% to savings, 1010% to pay off debt.
100%. So
from each and every commission.
30% out of every check. Yeah. So I didn't really care how much the money came in. I was more worried about what the 30% was. Still is, you know, what's the 30% going to us for our savings and our paying down debt? Versus, you know, if it's a $10,000 check, it's, I get $3,000. You know what I mean? It's, you know, that was fun. That is fun.
Man, you guys are just full of energy, aren't you? I love this. And you go fast. All right, so let me see if I can summarize this real quick. Step 1, we got real. We had to get it all on the table to know exactly where we're at.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Regardless of what it was, we just got transparent, we got real with exactly where we're at personally and where we're at professionally. Now you can see it. Now you can visually see it. Step 1.
Write it down.
Then step 2, it sounded like, okay, now you guys are on board that you should probably start meeting and visiting your money maybe more often than never.
Yes.
Right? Okay, so we went from never to now we're actually going to potentially follow a schedule weekly and visit it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And then as you are meeting and visiting with this money, you actually start to see, you organize it and start to see, wow, now I can make a game out of this. I would like to start eliminating some of these things so that our money can start to grow.
You know, even in that,
yes,
in that step too, you're you know, what we focus on expands, and you're focusing on what you're expending too, and you cut stupid things out.
Oh yeah. Because
when you're playing this game or you're doing this, you're saying, well, I really don't need that, and because I can pay that off.
And it's an accountability thing. So we don't want to, when we're meeting, it's like, oh gosh, I have to disclose that I purchased this. Do I really need that? You know? So.
Well, remember, so first off, as you get this on paper, so now you can see it, right?
Yep.
Most of us are visual, and until you can get it out and you can actually see it, you're not clear to understand it. So now you're aware, right? Awareness is the first step to change. You're aware of it now. And now it's probably eating at you, and now you're going to start taking action on it.
That's true.
How long? So once you were aware and you could see where you're at, how long did it take you to start? Like how long before you got into action and said, eliminate?
Immediately. Really. I mean, that was, and it was small chunks first, you know, I mean, it's not, you know, one bite at a time, you know, it wasn't we get excited to pay off this, and sometimes we'd pay something a little bit, you know, we have enough money to pay with that one off, so we pay the credit cards off, and now, you know, we don't have any credit card debt.
No, but we did it right away. So literally we created our net worth in October, like our next commission, we started this.
Okay, so you started it, and then so it sounded like either you guys lined it up and you either did the snowball effect or the avalanche effect, meaning hey, here's what has the highest interest rate. I'm going to tackle that one first, or this is the largest number. I'm going to tackle that one first. Is that right?
Yeah, first we did pay off just to make us feel good, like a small one, regardless of the interest rate. And then after that, we went by interest rate. But it was really nice to get that win, like right away, like, yeah, I don't have to pay my minimum payment on that credit card.
And if we had, if we could have another win throughout the process, if there was something that we could just pay off, we would, because we could check the box.
Just
if we had a lot more come in that week.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you just for a second. So, Nicole, it would be interesting to know your perspective coming in. So you meet with them for the first time. What was your side of this? What did you see?
I mean, in talking with Tracie, somebody that was, if I may, Tracie, like you were scared. You did. There was a glimmer of, like, there was not a glimmer of any hope.
No.
And I just, in talking with somebody that was scared, it was very relatable to me, because it's so cool hearing y'all's story. This isn't about me and Craig. Like, this is about you, and whoever helped me get through those things that you went through, it was like I was paying that forward. And so it's incredible to listen to.
That's awesome. And, and you're helping me pay it forward and us pay it forward. We've seen impacts for people on our team from us doing this. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's been awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys, now you hit the first domino and you start to see that there's progress. There's actually possibilities. There's light at the end of the tunnel. There's energy behind this right now. Excitement's kicking in. Then what?
So then I think we keep going. There's snags along the way. There's months where you're like, okay, I remember on my 12-week year, I'm like, I am going to grow my net worth by, this amount of money. And that didn't happen. However, I came close enough to it. And I actually had goals surrounding how much I wanted to grow it, or I shouldn't say how much to save. So once we got really comfortable with our house savings account, we still had some tax liens that we haven't paid off. And so the rich dad, poor dad mentality is figure out how to get what you want, right? So we figured out how to qualify for a mortgage, and we went for it. And that was really the next step. But we wanted to find the right property. We wanted a multifamily. So
we want an asset, not a liability.
Yes, we wanted an asset, something that would bring us an income in the future. So that was the next step of this.
Got it. Okay, so next step is you're focused on the asset. You're going to figure out a way to make this happen. Now, during this process, during that process, you start to see the first snowball start to happen, the dominoes happening. Now you actually feel like you're working towards something that has meaning.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Brian.
I was just going to say, then we get into, we're $1 net positive in net worth. Whether it's $1, $100, it didn't make a difference, or even. It was just that was a great day. That was fun.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
That's fun.
And the wins just pile up. And it's silly, and I guess it's not silly, but when you start paying attention, and that's such a great win. And it wasn't always, why didn't we have any closings this week? You know what I mean? We don't have any money. It wasn't always just, we're just paying down, and there were weeks we didn't meet and then had to meet in the middle of the week, or, because life got in the way. So that wasn't always perfect, whatsoever.
Yeah.
So you had to keep, your nose, you got to keep doing it, and pay attention to that. And even if you miss it.
Yeah. And I want to add to that too. So when I go back and reflect on y'all's journey, the first win, I don't know if you remember this, was paying off something. And I have the celebrations in my head right now. So the first win was paying off something. The second win was the big rock was working towards the savings account for your house. And by the way, it was call 2 that we started working on this. In us working. Call 1 was we reviewed the budget model, Tracie. I don't know if you remember that.
I do remember that. I do.
So we had the first win, we had the second win, and then the big one was the positive net worth, like getting into that positive number.
Yeah.
So, okay, I love this. So now we're positive. How's your guys' energy at this point?
Positive. Awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, wow. What do you think we can buy a house? Like, we still have that tax debt. How are we gonna get
how
money?
do we buy a house? Not even think. How are we going to do it?
Yeah. How are we going to do it? You're right. It changed from.
It wasn't a limiting belief. It was just, right now, well, how are we buying a house in Colorado? And say, it's not, oh, can we, or are we going to be able to afford it? It's like, well, let's just make it happen.
Yeah. We were living in a scarcity mindset for a very long time and trending horribly that way. And Nicole helped us change that trend.
I love it. And you guys did the heavy lifting, right? So here's the thing though. So we know now that your energy was exciting and it was going in the right direction. I think what also matters here is now that you guys feel this and now you see the possibilities and now you're being intentional. Tell us who else besides yourself was being impacted by your actions.
Oh, so, our team,
Mm-hmm.
we had one of our team members that was underwater and, her house, she just owed way too much. And I'm like, let it go. We coached her through that. She ended up short selling her house because the market went, turned and she didn't have to let it go.
Yeah.
And that completely freed her.
Yeah. And she started by tracking her net worth.
Yeah.
And we honestly, after this, I was like, we all have to do this, people.
Yeah, absolutely.
We all have to do this and do it with your partner, because that was the most important thing. And she took to it like that. And, she's so grateful. Like she read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but her life has changed. And she says that all the time. Like, you guys helped me change my life. Thank you. Like, thank you.
It turned her energy from a negative energy to a positive energy.
Well, and that's because our energy turned positive.
100%.
So, like we were feeding negativity out and getting that back.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's.
So we have our team. So we have our team members now that is in a different mindset. Who else though?
Our family?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, we did go through some, and we still, with kids and teenagers, come on, like.
Well, they're so positive when they speak to you.
But it's nice because we have hope and they feel that and they see that. And we want to leave a legacy for them. And we want to lead by example and show them that they are in charge of their lives. Like, don't go get a 9-to-5 job. Don't do that, So I know, for instance, like Hunter. So Hunter's my biological guy, and he struggles with mental health. So he has major anxiety, depression, ADHD. And I realized the best thing I could do was be good. Like, I needed to be happy. I needed to be solid. And I couldn't help him unless I was that way. And so this whole process, I actually just said this today. If I wasn't clear, there was no way I could find resources for him and ways to help him. And so it has helped him tremendously.
And honestly, I think this journey has helped. We have a stepson that just got out of the Navy, and he's returning home, and he got home last week, and he's talking about various different things that he can do. And our attitude is, don't go and get into business. You're a bright kid, or follow what you want to do. Where before, I think we would have been go get a job.
Yeah.
A job.
Like, that's like a dirty word now.
Well, it's just a different attitude around. And my thing was with him is, you needed a good accountant, because that's the first thing, you need a team of people to guide you on your journey, and you don't do it yourself. So, even at 21, set those things up for him so he can be successful, which nothing against my parents, but I wish I had gone through quantum, leap, or and had this knowledge previously. So I'm excited to give it to my son, so he can set up for success.
You hear what you just said, Brian? I'm excited to give it to my son. And everything that I just heard you guys say was, you can't give what you don't have, right? Like that's the thing, is you can't give what you don't have. And once you guys got clarity, and once you guys had energy, and once you had all that, you could give it to other people.
Yeah.
But 100%. Attempting to give that first, it doesn't work.
No.
I never realized that. Thank you. That's an aha right there.
That is an aha.
Wow. That's kind of cool.
Well, that's why reflecting on the impact, it's not like you guys start with yourself, right? Like, how often have we heard our businesses grow to the extent that we do? Our life grows to the extent that we do. You get a partner that comes into your world that helps you start working on you. And it's weird how you work on yourself, and then your guys' net worth goes up, and your business goes up, and your relationships goes up. It's so weird.
It's awesome. It's incredible, because it's funny. My mom raised me to be this person. I never even knew like there was such a thing of like women not having equal opportunities or anything like that. I never did. I remember I got to college and one of my professors were talking about that. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, we could do what anybody else does. Like we can conquer the world, you know? And along the way, I let that go. And just as a human being, we all, regardless of gender, race, you know, identity, whatever, anything really is possible, but it starts in here. So it's been an awesome 2-year journey.
So great. So great. So do you own a house now?
Yes.
We own a funeral chapel. And the best part about it is, the neat thing about, we were looking at opportunities, and I just called soliciting listings, cold calling a guy. And it just happens to be a funeral home that he's been trying to sell off and on for 4 or 5 years. And I got him on the phone. I'm like, hey, you know, we should try to market as a residential property, because most of the funeral homes are always in residential neighborhoods. Not always, but this one was, or is. So called him up. He's like, yeah, go look at it. Here's the code. Go through it. And I'm like, hey, Trey, you want to go live? You know, I get home that night. I'm like, hey, you want to go live in a funeral home up the street? You know, because it just happens to be up the street from where we live. And she's like, okay, let's go look at it. Fast forward. Agree, you know, it was a short sale. It was in a zone that didn't allow multifamilies. And like I said, we wanted to have multifamilies, an asset. The village attorney lives across the street. So there was a lot of hurdles that would have to happen, you know, that could have prevented us from getting it and doing it. But I think with persistence and doing other things, we actually bought it last Wednesday. We
literally just closed on
it. And now, you know, we had to go to ZBA. We had to get the taxes were welcome to New York. Taxes were $23,000 on the building. I got them down to 14.5, which I'm very happy about. It sounds sick, but which is reasonable here. So there were a lot of things that we had to do to get that, and we closed on it. And now, you know, in about a couple months, we should have, we'll be living in the front and renting out the back, which is great.
Well, you're the first person that I know of that moved into a funeral home, I believe. So that's still moving around. So that's pretty awesome.
But the value was change of use. And, you know, we were at Mega Camp or somewhere where Gary says, you know, Gary was talking about how, you know, changing the use of some, you know, a property, you know, you got to look at it differently and see the opportunities. And that's where everybody looked at it as a funeral home. We looked at it as a house, in a potential income property. It is a
house. It was built as a house in like 1900, and it remained a house until around 1980. And then it was turned into a funeral home. And it honestly hasn't been active for 4 or 5 years. And it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. It has gorgeous architecture, and there was no embalming done. I just have to put that out there in the home.
There's an elevator though.
There is a body elevator in there. So yeah, you have to get over some of those things, but we knew we could buy the house with equity, even with all of the money that we need to renovate it. And it was, I would say probably 3 years ago, I probably would have been looking for a single family home that was a liability, that was not an asset. So I mean, my mindset changed like that, like that.
Wow.
Now we can, you know, the idea is we can move out and we'll be cash positive.
Yes.
100%.
Easily.
Which is awesome.
Love it. Any other insights you want to share, Nicole, about this process?
Oh gosh, you guys did the heavy lifting and really put it. It just goes to show when you could have clarity on where it is you want to go, you end up going with the right partnership where it is you ought to go, and it's extraordinary, and this story is going to have a ripple effect and help so many other people. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for your total transparency. There was no, I mean, from the coaching perspective, behind the curtain, they were there. They said it all. There was no stone unturned as far as your transparency in this and being your partner in the last 2 years.
Awesome.
Thanks, Nicole. Yeah.
So Tracie and Brian, if you were to give the audience some advice, give the people here some advice on if anybody is hearing this that currently felt the way that you guys felt 2 years ago, what would you share with them? What would you say to them?
Well, I guess first of all, I mean, we both have coaches. I mean, that's the first thing. I mean, if they're here, they probably have a coach, so that'd be the first thing. But write it down. I mean, listen, you're only a couple. I mean, we're 2 years away from, you know, we were 2 years back. We were in a different position, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and it feels good now. Like you said, we have positive energy. We're moving in a great position, great way, and you know, and we're looking out another 2 years of where we want to be and what we want to do right now, and it's completely attainable.
Yeah.
Right?
I'd say be real with yourself, write it all down, and then find an awesome support system, you know. And for us, it's Nicole. So find somebody to help you stay accountable to that. And I think that's the accountability part is huge.
Love it. Anything else I should have asked you that I didn't?
I don't think so.
No, I think you ripped it all out of us. I think you're good.
All right. Well, hey, congratulations on all the actions that you've taken thus far. It's super exciting to hear this. Wow. Appreciate you guys being here and being transparent and vulnerable in order to share this and the lives that you're changing because of the actions that you've taken. We appreciate you sincerely.
Thank you.
Thank
we
you so
appreciate
much.
you.
Yeah.
If we can do this, literally anybody can do this.
And thank you, Nicole, for being such an amazing coach. And thank you guys for being on this call today. And if you got referrals to send to, actually, where do they send the referrals, guys?
So we're in the Hudson Valley. We're about an hour north of New York City, where West Point is, and in that area. So Orange County, New York. So you can send them to me. Brian Kaplicki at kw.com. You can find me on Kelly or Command.
The McGovern Kaplicki team.
Yeah.
Love it. All right, guys. Appreciate your time. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.